So, I want to talk in this video a little bit about the anxious preoccupied attachment style, aka love style, and their relationship to jealousy. So, I think that we tend to think, especially anxious preoccupieds who sometimes tend to take a lot of like personal fault on in the relationship and sort of think, and ruminate from a perspective of going, if only I was more XYZ, the person would have liked me or stayed with me. Or, if I were smarter, if I were more interesting, if I were more fun, if I was better looking, like anxious preoccupieds can be really hard on themselves from that perspective in relationships and really minimize like their own needs in a relationship and like where they deserve to take up space and show up. And so when we look at this idea of jealousy, I find that anxious preoccupied's thought process behind experiencing jealousy tends to follow that same kind of track where they fault find with themselves, they blame themselves for being jealous, they minimize their experience. And really, jealousy is a trauma response. So, when we really unpack what jealousy is a very strong emotional response that's taking place in your body and nervous system. And it's usually linked to this fear of not surviving if you don't have attention. So, if we're going to go way back into the roots of jealousy and where this first gets programmed, we really have to look at childhood. So when we grow up, and especially as an anxious preoccupied attachment style, essentially what happens is you get conditioned. Okay. So you get punished for doing things wrong, rewarded for doing things right. It's a way that we all get socialized in our environment. Now, what ends up taking place is you become afraid of being punished, but you also become afraid of not getting the reward. So you find this need like for attunement, for reward from your caregivers. And biologically, you're literally wired to have your caregivers pay attention to you. If you're not being paid attention to, if you actually look back over all of the years that we evolved as a species, if you weren't getting attention and connection and attunement from your caregivers, you were less likely to survive. So we have this deep biological need to get that attention, to be attuned to, right? And to know that somebody's paying attention to us and our needs because we're totally dependent on our caregivers for survival. Like as a young child, you're not going to go out and get a job and pay for your bills at 2 years old, right? These things won't happen. So we are biologically wired to know that we are dependent and reliant on our caregivers and we need them to pay attention to us. Now, as an anxious preoccupied attachment style, essentially what happens is there tends to be a lot of inconsistency with parents. And so you easily get this need for approval and attunement mixed up and really intertwined with this need to survive. Like it feels unsafe if you're not getting consistent attention and attunement. So at a very young age, you basically confuse and intertwine survival with approval or attention. And then you grow up and then your relationships follow suit. Now, here's something really interesting that I saw over and over again when I was running my client practice. And it was that if a child had a sibling very close in age, so if there was like a 2-year-old with a newborn, and then, as those children aged 2 and 4 years old, 4 and 6 years old, like if there was a 2-year age gap or a year and a half age gap or a 3-year age gap, what I generally found is that those children would struggle with jealousy more as adults. Now, I'm not saying that's everybody all the time, but I absolutely observed that as a pattern. And essentially, when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because if you're a young child and you're getting all this attention and attunement, and then you have another young child come in who takes away some of that attention and attunement from you, well, then it feels like there's this competing survival need happening where it's like, why is this other child taking my attention? And at a young age, as a very little kid, if there's already inconsistency in your household, AKA if you're an anxious preoccupied and there's this, maybe your parents are very loving, but maybe they work a lot, or maybe one caregiver is really available and the other is really not. Like those inconsistencies give you that trauma response of fearing that you will not survive if you don't get those need for attention met. And then on top of that, if you have another sibling closer in age, I really feel that just like drives that point home. It just wires that into your nervous system and body even more. So then let's fast forward. You see in your adult life that our adult romantic relationship literally replaces our primary attachment figure as being our caregivers in our childhood. So our primary attachment figures growing up are our caregivers. Then when we grow up, it becomes our romantic relationships. And that's just naturally how that evolves. And it's so interesting because like when you look at couples, especially like in the early stages, like the honeymoon stage, like early on days. Couples, like, as adults, will talk to each other like children sometimes, right? Give each other little pet names like children. Like, you see these dynamics of how this is sort of replacing and how we kind of relate to each other in that way, especially in that first 2 years, like that honeymoon stage place, right? Or dating and honeymoon stage. So, essentially, what's taking place is then when that attention from your primary attachment figure, aka romantic relationship in your adult life, when that person gives attention to somebody else, it triggers, like, because how a trigger works at your subconscious level of mind is your subconscious mind is like, oh, what's this experience? Oh, it's familiar. It reminds us of these experiences. And then all of that stored warehouse of information, which is essentially what your subconscious mind is. If you can imagine that it's stored in a filing cabinet, it's like you have an experience now where, let's say, your romantic partner as an adult is giving attention to someone else. Your subconscious mind goes, "Oh, what does this remind us of?" Opens that filing cabinet, floods out all of that information of all those past stored memories and feelings, and it's like, "Oh, it reminds us of this feeling." And so you then re-experience all of that stored information from childhood, all those stored memories and feelings from childhood, and that's what a trigger is. That's why we get so frustrated or upset or worried, because we're not just experiencing the emotion now, we're experiencing the emotion of what's happening now in front of us, combined with all of that unprocessed emotion from past experiences. And so when you watch yourself as an AP have this jealousy response, it's a trauma response of unresolved, stored emotion from past experiences growing up, where you literally feared that if attention is being given to someone else, I'm not going to get my needs for attention met, and this poses a survival threat. And so, this triggering response, and if you pay close attention to jealousy, usually the feelings in your body are things like hurt, anger, and fear, like a lot of fear and panic. And you can actually feel in like your torso and your arms, like the somatic sensations of jealousy. Like, this is what gets described all the time to me. It feels like this panic, like threat, like seriously, like a survival response. And so when we look at it consciously, we're like, oh, your partner's giving attention to another person. But subconsciously, you're having a totally different experience than that. And so that's why jealousy can feel so alarming. Now, I do want to distinguish the difference between jealousy and envy. Envy is usually like you are feeling like somebody is giving to you or representing, not giving to you, but representing something that you've left behind. So sometimes envy is like a longing for that part of ourselves, or longing for the feeling that we're perceiving somebody else is having. And it really represents you not living your truth in that moment. And that's envy. It's like this lost aspect of self that we're trying to kind of reconnect with. And that plays some small role in jealousy, but jealousy is more like a possessiveness survival threat experience that, as an AP, is just stored emotion from past experiences. Now, you can recondition this whole thing, right? Like, you got these feelings and emotions conditioned into you because of perceived threats that caused you to be imprinted with different core wounds and fears from the past. You weren't born with like these deep, you were born with the biological need for closeness, but you weren't born with like extreme jealousy. These things got imprinted through traumatic events, even if they were low level traumatic events over time. So you can actually recondition them. Now, a big part of how you move through jealousy is to somatically process it, but then work on underlying core wounds. So, if you want to do a much deeper dive, I have a full course on how to recondition these deep stored feelings of jealousy and possessiveness. It's called Overcoming Jealousy and Repairing Broken Trust. I'll put the link to that down below. And you can check it out for free for 7 days if you just want to go do a deep dive. And that's more than enough time to get through a course. And the workbook is there, all the exercises are there to support you. And it really gives you like basically a 3-step solution to get over jealousy in a short period of time. So you can use that if you're interested, but then also just really realizing, and what I really want to like leave this video off with, is that for an AP, jealousy is something that APs tend to judge themselves for. They're hard on themselves for. They fault find themselves for feeling jealous. They're like, oh, this is embarrassing that I'm jealous. This is silly that I'm jealous. They try to minimize their emotions. We are never going to get over an experience that's really uncomfortable, especially if it's related to like low level past traumatic events, like things that our nervous system stored as like unsafe and threatening. We're never going to get over that by judging it and trying to repress it. The only way you're actually going to get over that is by unpacking it, seeing what's there, and reconditioning the different core wounds and learning to actually somatically process through your emotions. So please do not be hard on yourself. Do not judge yourself. Do not give yourself like a difficult time. You're a human being. These feelings are natural, but you have to pay attention to them and cater to yourself and support yourself in moving through them rather than judge, shame, or belittle yourself for them or try to just push them away deep down because you know that that jealousy is always only ever going to come out in different ways. So I hope this makes a lot of sense. It's definitely a really important topic. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions down below. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, I put daily content out here about attachment styles, the subconscious mind, somatic work, like all kinds of different videos about a variety of topics. But I put one literally every single day. So if you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you won't miss any. Thank you so much for watching. And please let me know any questions that you have about jealousy in the comments below.